Hi guys, JT here, and today I'm bringing you some information on the first ever Digiphile bundle, return of the Immersive Sim Bundle of November 2025. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? By using links in the description below, you'll gain access to this bundle and support the channel in the process. Before we begin, I'd like to thank you the viewers for watching my silly videos. I hope they're helpful. Most importantly, knowing that you're watching it means the world. Anyway, let's get into this. At number 1 we have System Shock 2 25th Anniversary Remaster. The definitive way for you to experience one of PC gaming's most influential immersive sims. Night Dive Studios bundles decades of community fixes, visual upgrades, and UI cleanups into a version that finally lets you dive in without juggling mod packs or patch notes. The crisp, newly recreated cutscenes alone make this remaster feel transformative, and seeing the Von Braun brought to life at modern clarity hits surprisingly hard in motion. You still get the quirky old-school RPG jank, soft locks, awkward PSI builds, and questionable balance, but that's part of System Shock 2's strange magic. Night Dive wisely preserves the tension, labyrinthine environments, and eerie storytelling that made the original unforgettable. Exploring the ship still feels like unraveling a living puzzle, and the remaster's performance boosts make it smoother than ever, especially on the Steam Deck. While technically 4-player co-op works, you'll quickly find that it dilutes the oppressive atmosphere that defines the experience. It is fun as a novelty, but System Shock 2 still thrives best when you're alone, headphones on, listening to a half-whispered audio log in a dark corridor. Night Dive also packs in concept art, vintage trailers, and accessible mod support, giving you a preservation-friendly package that respects both new players and purists. With stronger visuals, modern conveniences, and its classic identity left intact, this remaster becomes the ideal way for you to descend into Shodan's nightmare. System Shock 2 has never been easier or more satisfying to play. At number 2 we have Peripeteia, a gritty first and third person immersive sim that drops you into an alternate history cyberpunk Poland, where you step into the combat boots of Marie, a cybernetic super soldier trying to survive a collapsing post-Soviet city. You blend stealth, shooting, and RPG choices in massive labyrinthine levels that reward curiosity and punish carelessness. When the game clicks, you feel the classic Ironstorm energy, freedom, vibes, and a sense that you're carving your own path through a hostile world. But Peripeteia is also unapologetically janky. Enemies sometimes spot you through walls, the dialogue system resets conversations like everyone has memory loss, and the lack of a map means you often wander through huge spaces with no idea if you're doing the right thing. Combat feels uneven, stealth drains your limited resources fast, and item persistence is basically non-existent. And depending on who you ask, the community and developer drama can overshadow the game's creative ambition. Still, if you thrive on weird, moody, experimental immersive sims, and you don't mind bugs, rough edges, or early access chaos, there's something magnetic here. The atmosphere hits hard, the freedom is real, and the world feels like no other cyberpunk settings out there. With enough polish, this could evolve into something truly special. For now, you're getting a fascinating, flawed, and deeply atmospheric experience that's equal parts frustration and equal parts brilliant. At number 3 we have Shadows of Doubt, an ambitious cyber-noir detective sim that drops you into a fully simulated city where every citizen lives, works, and sometimes murders. You play as a private investigator, unraveling crimes by snooping through apartments, dusting for fingerprints, hacking computers, and piecing together evidence on your corkboard like a conspiracy theorist. It is a detective's dream, but also a chaotic mess of janky brilliance. This game is pure emergent storytelling. Every case plays out differently, thanks to the game's deep procedural generation. You might crack a case by tailing a suspect to a shady gun deal, or get chased out of an apartment after breaking in at the wrong time. The way the city reacts to your actions makes everything feel alive. Want to bribe a bartender for info? Sneak through vents? Punch a suspect in the face? It is all possible, and often hilarious. Bugs and janks are everywhere though. NPCs act strangely, stealth is unpredictable, and inventory management is clunky. Sometimes you'll spend hours on a case, only for a weird AI quirk to break the immersion. It is also overwhelming at first. Expect to feel like an actual confused detective. Despite its rough edges, Shadow of Doubt is a wildly immersive, one-of-a-kind detective sim. If you can tolerate some jank, the thrill of solving cases your own way makes it absolutely worth playing. You will not forget the stories this game creates. At number 4 we have System Shock, an FPS survival horror remake of the 1994 classic rebuilt by Night Dive Studios in Unreal Engine 4. You play as a hacker who, after tampering with the AI Shodan at the request of a corrupt executive, awakens on Citadel Station to find the facility overrun with mutants, cyborgs, and Shodan's ruthless presence watching your every move. The remake captures the spirit of the original with striking visuals, oppressive atmosphere, and a faithful recreation of Citadel's labyrinthine halls. Exploring each floor rewards you with new weapons, cybernetic powers, and scraps of lore, while Shodan remains as chilling and charismatic as ever. The cyberspace segments, redesigned as colorful Descent-style bullet hell sequences, feel modern while retaining their 90s flavor. However, Night Dive's reverence cuts both ways. Citadel Station is still a confusing maze, with endless backtracking and a lack of modern conveniences like mission markers. You'll often rely on audio logs and notes to track objectives, which can be frustrating when combat or puzzles distract you. The interface works best with keyboard and mouse, as gamepad controls feel cramped under the weight of so many powers and items. Despite these quirks, this remake succeeds in bringing a landmark immersive sim to modern players. You'll experience both the brilliance and the clunkiness of a 1994 design philosophy, wrapped in a fresh coat of sci-fi horror. It's not a reinvention, but is a definitive way to face Shodan today. At number 5 we have Fallen Aces, a stylish first-person brawler immersive sim that perfectly captures the aesthetic and attitude of the hard-boiled noir genre, channeling influences like Dick Tracy and classic shooters like Wolfenstein 3D. Currently in early access, the game already feels remarkably complete, thrusting you into deep and gritty Switchblade City as Mike Thane, a private eye with a boxer's past. The true genius of Fallen Ace lies in its design philosophy, rewarding player experimentation and freedom. Every one of the 5 stages in Chapter 1 is a combat puzzle that you can solve in a myriad of ways: stealth, gunplay, or your fists. You won't find hand-holding here. The game immerses you in its world and expects you to explore every dark nook and cranny for hidden secrets and alternate paths. While shooting feels good, the melee combat is where the game shines. Once you master the dash mechanic, allowing you to duck, weave, and deliver satisfying uppercuts, you feel cheated using anything else. The fighting is challenging but fair, requiring strategy before rushing into a group of goons. The pulpy aesthetic, complete with rotating 2D sprites and fantastic voice acting, especially the goons, further draws you into this uniquely chaotic world. Fallen Aces is an astounding value, even in its current state. If you love classic immersive sims or the hard-boiled noir vibe, you owe it to yourself to experience the freedom and satisfying brawling this game offers. At number 6 we have Blood West, a stealth-focused FPS that blends immersive sim elements with a grim, atmospheric world. You play as an undead gunslinger, trapped between life and death, tasked with purging a cursed land across 3 haunting regions. Stealth, puzzle solving, and inventory management form the core of your journey, and while the combat mechanics feel satisfying, the early game forces you into stealth due to tough enemies and limited resources. You'll find the stealth system refreshingly flexible. Maps offer multiple paths and strategies, letting you sneak, fight, or avoid enemies entirely. Choosing stealth often means missing out on valuable loot like artifacts and powerful weapons. But combat comes with its own risks. Melee is dangerous and stamina draining, while ranged attacks expand rare resources. Death is heavily punished, saddling you with soul flaws that weaken you further until you can afford costly removals. The story, while sparse, feels authentic and ties into your interactions with a handful of memorable NPCs. Side quests feel genuinely rewarding, often leading you to hidden gear or vital resources that make survival just a little bit more manageable. Enemy design keeps you on your toes, with different foes requiring different tactics. Birdmen dodging bullets, spirits vulnerable to rare silver rounds. Blood West's biggest flaw lies in its skill system, where upgrades feel more like basic stat boosts than game changers. However, once you adjust to its harsh early hours, you'll discover a deep atmospheric stealth adventure that is hard to put down. Blood West demands patience, and rewards it handsomely. And number 7 we have Ctrl Alt Ego, a first-person immersive sim puzzler FPS RPG hybrid that asks you to abandon your body and think in wildly unconventional ways. As a disembodied ego, you transmit yourself between bots, cameras, and devices, turning the entire environment into a diegetic inventory. Instead of relying on traditional tools, you reshape the world through possession, improvisation, and clever manipulation, giving you a freedom that few immersive sims genuinely deliver. Celebrated as one of 2022's best games by outlets like Kotaku and Buried Treasure, Ctrl Alt Ego thrives on its inventive mechanics and retro sci-fi atmosphere inspired by low-budget 70s and 80s television. You're not punished for failure. Your host might explode, but you simply hop to another machine and continue, transforming death into a strategic pivot rather than a setback. What makes the experience shine is the sheer openness in how you solve problems. Turrets, locked zones, patrols, or entire level layouts can be tackled in countless ways. Stealth, brute force, manipulation, or beautifully absurd solutions the developers clearly expected you to discover. Nearly every obstacle feels like a sandbox, rewarding creativity over convention. Despite occasional jank, some intentional, some less so, the game's emergent gameplay, dark humor, and philosophical weirdness make it a standout. Its non-linear structure and freedom of approach give you room to experiment, fail, retry, and feel clever without the game nudging you toward a correct path. If you enjoy thinking for yourself, bending systems until they break, or exploring immersive sims that truly earn the label, Ctrl Alt Ego is absolutely worth your time. And number 8, and this is only available as an add-on, we have Blood West, Dead Man's Promise, a new story chapter DLC for the immersive stealth FPS Blood West, and it drops you into a grim debt-collecting mission for the God of Death. As Twen's father, you're thrust into a familiar world at an unfamiliar time, forced to wrangle lost souls while eldritch horrors crawl out of every dark corner. It feels immediately tougher and more oppressive than the base game, and you'll notice the tone shift, not darker for the sake of it, but heavier, with more emotional weight behind the quests you take on. You step into the role of the Shaman, giving you fresh tools, staffs, summons, and a whole new skill tree that encourages you to rethink how you approach combat. Whether you want to melt faces with magic, curse enemies into helplessness, or just unload a new set of guns into anything that twitches, this DLC gives you multiple ways to experiment. That said, the melee focus and ammo stinginess might push you into playstyles that won't appeal to everyone, especially when the melee system still feels a bit stiff. The new enemies are wonderfully weird, unsettling, and memorable, but the single area structure can make the DLC feel smaller than expected. Some players might find the pacing uneven. Early deaths can stack up before you get your bearings, while late game builds sometimes come together too quickly. Still, if you love the base game's atmosphere, stealth tension, and bizarre monster design, this is more of that, with a bold twist. Despite a few missteps, you'll find a tough, creative, and satisfyingly grim slice of Weird West chaos. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is shaping up to be a wild experiment, part hype, part headache, but definitely shaking up the bundle meta. The trade-in system has cool potential, even if the must-own-it-first rule and low credit values feel kinda scuffed. Still, competition is always good, and if they keep dropping curated lineups like this, I can see myself sticking around. It is messy, it's new, but honestly, I'm here for the chaos and the chance at getting extra games down the line. In any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if this video was helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and maybe consider buying the channel a coffee. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.